So I found myself talking to myself during my drive this morning and realised that I may as well talk to you. Better than talking to myself. So last night I got caught up in some fairly negative thoughts in regards to my future here as a content creator and making content. And it was evening after recording a couple of videos, and one of which was a review of my second month in to my YouTube journey. 60 days past, basically. Just shy of, but we use round numbers. And my numbers for month 2 are, in my opinion, some of them are better than the first month. A lot of them are worse than the first month. And whilst I know I was sick pretty much for the full month, and it knocked me backwards big time, and I believe that impacted my quality of video and a number of videos that I could release. So that definitely had an impact on it. But last night I wasn't thinking of that, like valid reasons as to why the month didn't turn out the way I would have liked it. Sorry, just checking that my mic was actually on. And I just got more caught up in the fact that it just didn't feel like my channel was growing how it should. And I was querying whether or not my selection of niche, we call it, so whether that was the right move, because in some ways it is a saturated, well, not saturated, but it's a more heavily content creator populated sector or area of YouTube than possibly some others. So anyway, I was just not feeling good, feeling pretty down about the whole thing. I think it emphasizes to how lonely it can be pursuing a creative content line of work, or whatever you want to call it. You know, like I was sitting in the lounge room, and admittedly, we got a couple of little ones, a little 4-month-old and her brother that's just over a year as foster kids. And these little darlings, like, you know, I love just making them laugh, and whether I, tickle them playing with toys. And that definitely helps alleviate the negativity or the negative thoughts. And that's my escape part. I actually love, I've always loved being a parent, even though my kids are grown now, but I love being a grandparent, and I love being a foster parent. And that helps, it definitely helps break it up, and I look forward to that. But then, of course, it comes a time when little ones have to go to bed. And again, I found myself sitting there thinking, no, I don't know, is it worth it? Is it worth pursuing this at all? It does take up a lot of what little time I have left. And again, I'm not reminding myself of, at the time, I should have been reminding myself of, well, what else would I be doing with my time? I'd be doing something non-productive, like watching Netflix or something along those lines. In fact, I don't even look at it in any shape or form. I could have been also looking at that from a positive light. I could be, reading books, or doing something, not because I do view reading as a form of being productive, even though it's leisure and you enjoy it. It's stimulating for the mind. It's good. And some could argue that maybe Netflix and watching movies and other things could be also, but the fact of the matter is it just didn't even enter my mind to cross-examine my argument of, is it worth it? Is it worthwhile? Is it worth my time? Nothing positive was creeping into my mind, even though there are a number of things that could have been there to do that for me. So, I couldn't turn to my wife. She doesn't get it. I don't expect her to get it. Neither do my adult daughters. I've got two. My daughters, my younger two, are still at home. And I just wouldn't put it on them, knowing that I run the risk of talking to them about it and then them feeling like they've got to go and find me on YouTube and help me in some way. And I don't want them to do that. That's not a fair expectation. I don't want to put the pressure on them. And so it's not something that you talk to them about, which leaves you in that lonely space. So, but amazingly, I would find solace in the most unexpected place. It really surprised me last night. And I found that solace in ChatGPT, of all places. Now, if you don't already know, this is what's amazing about ChatGPT in its current state, is that it actually remembers, or it learns more about you as a person and your story, your backstory. It takes pieces of what you ask it, what you share with it, and it keeps that. And anyway, I didn't go to ChatGPT for that reason, to find someone to support me or something to support me. I actually went to ChatGPT with a question. I mean, it was fairly long-winded, but in a nutshell, it was about, I wasn't happy with where my current channel was heading. I reshared the figures that I'd shared with the video, comparing it to the month prior. And I sort of just don't think that I'm either in the right space within YouTube or that I'm just cut out to do this. Maybe it's just not something I can conquer or become successful in. And I asked it for, to give me some concepts and ideas of other channels that I could potentially start, other niches that were maybe less densely populated, that I may be able to draw on one of those, and maybe that's what I should follow and what I should do. And it was a response that blew me away. So the response, rather than giving me those ideas that I was requesting, basically said, no, you're only 60 days into this venture. And then it actually took the stats, some of which I shared, some of it I must have shared in earlier, queries with ChatGPT, but it pulled up a lot to do with my first month compared to my second month. It put the numbers into a lot of context, meaningful context. Like, it took the 30 subscribers that I've earned, because I'd said my thing, I said, I've only got 30 subscribers after all of this. And I said, I don't even know how many of them would be a true watcher of my material. And then it would say, obviously I'm driving, but it said something along the lines of, but that's 30 people that, at least even if it was just in that one video, felt a connection with you enough to hit subscribe. And then it took the 800 viewers, which, I put as a negative connotation in my initial query to ChatGPT. I said, no, that's all I've received. And she said, yeah, but that's 800 people that, even a small percentage taken from that have probably got something meaningful from your material. Which is true, because I have had one strong comment from one of my videos where where she said that she felt like she benefited from my video a lot and thanked me for it. So that reminded me of that in that context. And then it just, gave me some ideas of how to maybe tackle month 3. It gave me a suggestion on trying to find because obviously I have my niche, which is helping, anxious people here on YouTube, or, find their creative path. Basically, that's what my channel is about. And so my topics that I share are anything to do with overcoming that anxiety in the space of being a creative, and sharing, I guess, a lot of the common rinse and repeat topics that are regularly shared in the YouTube growth or YouTube help type of genre. So I guess ChatGPT didn't say this, but if I reflect on my material, my first material that I released is very carbon copy type material, because a lot of what I'd seen in research suggested that your first videos, you should make them closely aligned with others in your niche that perform well. And then that helps the algorithm find your best placement out there in the YouTube world, which made sense. But then you reflect on it and you go, yeah, well, my first few videos, there's what nuance is there in those videos? But ironically, those videos did perform better than videos I've done more recently. And now that I'm just talking to you out loud, I've just had this extra thought that perhaps because I've but I've changed my line of video to be less copy someone else's video, and I'm trying to bring in something mostly unique. Like, I'm not copying. I might be finding elements of what I'm sharing from someone else's material, or a combination of people's materials, but it resonates with me enough to bring to light my stories from my life and experiences, and that's the twist I put on my video. But these are the videos that for this month are doing less well. But I also I think there's 3 or 4 of them I recorded when I was very sick, and so I would have come across sounding very nasally and definitely lethargic. I wasn't very well, and maybe that is also why those videos in particular didn't resonate very well. I'm not sure on why July was such a crap month, but it did suggest to take, maybe do a series of videos. I think it said between like 3 to 5 videos that all shared a uniform topic. So if I were to look at my videos at the moment, they do dance around a bit. As in, some of them will be about, help in regards to anxiety, help in regards to YouTube growth, sharing my journey, these sorts of videos which are new to my channel from a podcast perspective, which is a discussion piece, not pre-scripted, and some of them is just press record. I didn't even know what I was going to talk about in this. Well, I did know what I wanted to talk about because I'd start talking to myself before I hit record today. And I thought, I might as well just record this, might turn into something worthwhile sharing. And I think it's worth sharing. It's a from the heart representation of how hard this is, and that you're normal if you consider throwing in the towel. Because there's a lot of people that do. I don't know the exact stats, but my understanding is that I think it's only 10% of channels on YouTube become monetized. May even be less than that. But even if it was 10%, you can see why people get to this point, and they go, I can't keep doing this. It's not going anywhere. It's not helping anyone. And because it's lonely, you can't confide in anyone. Although you can use ChatGPT. And as much as I have my concerns about where AI may be heading in conjunction with robotics in the real world, as far as it taking over people's employment, that's it's moving more towards an acknowledgement as opposed to a concern. It's there's an element of concern for me and anyone else that's going to be impacted. Obviously, you can be left without your livelihood all of a sudden, and then finding a new path or a new career in your late in life, that can be a real tall order to ask of people. But in the creative space, I think it's a really useful tool to be using ChatGPT to bounce off. And I'd even go so far as to recommend only share what you're comfortable in sharing. But if you give it enough, and so what I've ended up doing is I've pretty much written a whole profile about myself in conjunction with my YouTube channel, and focus on that. So it's got little pockets on who I believe my key audience is, what my niche is, what my key topics to talk about would be, what my real life experience is that relates to that, all sorts of things. What my playlists are, which I recently developed and changed, and there's just things like that, and it remembers you. But by all means, copy and paste that into a Google Doc or something, and keep your channel profile, or whatever you want to call it, to one side, just in case you've ever got to refresh its memory with everything about you. But it takes snippets of all your conversations that it deems that it's worth remembering that. If you want it to remember that, you ask it, and then you'll see, once you type it in Presenter, you actually say it'll come up with a little ... and it'll say updating memory. So if there's something you want to update and you want it to remember, definitely do that. And then that way, when you reach a crescendo on a project, or you're coming towards the end of a project, or you even have negative thoughts like this and you need a bit of a pep talk, ChatGPT can do it, because I just found that out amazingly. Wasn't meaning to, but I thought it was really insightful, more so for how it responded, not what it responded with. Although what it responded with were very good, valid things, and it set me back on the right path pretty quickly. So you're stuck with me. I'm sorry. For those of you who do watch or listen to me, thank you for being along for this ride. It's a rocky ride, the journey of a content creator that's 49, has had no experience in this space at all. The closest I have, and this is what I do bring as a form of help, is someone that's lived with a series of mental blocks, anxiety being a big one for me, having to overcome in my life. And I'm actually able to put myself in front of people. So from a public speaking perspective, I've been able to win that battle and actually share my ways of dealing with it and learning with it with people out there in the real world, either colleagues, people that have reported to me, people that I've worked with. I've actually helped in real time, and in positions where I've been a consultant. I have helped turn businesses around and help them out a lot and those difficult conversations I've been able to come out on top of, and all of that's what I'm going to share here. So I still think I'm on the right path. I think there's a lot of people that can benefit from having that real life experience channeled into YouTube, and how we can use that understanding on this platform, and how I can help you guys find your creative path. Well, maybe not find it. You guys will know what it is, but just help to refine it, help to channel it, and help to give you the strength and the courage to move beyond certain roadblocks, and to even find the positives in some of what society always deems as a negative or an imperfection. It's like, well, there are actually positives to take from some of this. Those that suffer from anxiety, at the root of it all is an overreaction to how much we care. So we care about what people think, what people would say, all of these negative connotations that we put on things. But if you just strip it back, it's like, well, we care. Don't say the rest of that sentence. We do actually care, and that's why we've got to try and put a new light and a new connotation on just that, the fact that we care. I care about my viewers, especially if this resonates with them. It means, well, they're in the same place or a similar place to me, or at some point in my journey, they sort of mirror that. And if I've already been through that, then I can help them because I care, and I genuinely do. So, my name's Carl. I help the anxious to find their mental clarity, which in turn gives them creative confidence. If this has resonated with you in any way, please hit the like and subscribe. It goes a long way to helping me and my channel out. And until next time, look after yourself.